You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts or on our YouTube channel, all over social media, or our morning newsletter, KCSN Daily, dedicated to your Kansas City Chiefs. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
KC Laboratory, sponsored by Emprise Bank.
It's a live game week edition of the KC Laboratory. What's up, everybody? Ken Swanson. This is presented by Emprise Bank. Nobody loves to bank. They love what banking can help them achieve. Emprise Bank is looking to say yes to those with a dream, whether it's saving for your first home, a new car, starting a family, starting a business. Emprise is your partner in possible. They have absolutely been our partner in possible here at KC Sports Network, and I cannot believe we are at game week. We have made it. We are here. I am excited to be talking to my dear pals. First, find them on Twitter at Maddie_KCSN. Happy Labor Day to you, buddy.
Thank you. It was a nice Labor Day. I still like your office. We still jumped on here, and I was not prepared. I forgot that your office had been completely redone, so it's looking great. And I thoroughly enjoy that hat you're wearing there, bud. So thanks for showing out for us, Craig. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm wearing my Sunday Funday shirt because it's a holiday Monday, and it feels like a Sunday to me. This is the last time that we're going to be going into this for the rest of the season without actual regular season football to talk about until next February. Optimistically, later than that. But, we'll get into that. But I am so excited. It's game week. This is the real stuff. This is the real fun stuff now. So I'm ridiculously excited to be talking football with you guys.
Yeah, if you're new to this place, what we normally do is our mid week episode is normally our game preview edition. So we'll kind of break down the opponent. We'll discuss all kinds of stuff. We'll give our predictions on the game and all that stuff. This is our last episode where we're not focusing on a team, because next Monday we'll be breaking down the Chiefs' victory over the Cardinals, bopping of the Cardinals. So, this is the last kind of chance for us to maybe give some predictions on the totality of the season, right? So that's kind of what we're going to focus on today.
My prediction, DJ Ukulele does not last 6 games this year for Clemson.
I was kind of surprised that Clemson was ranked 4th. I'll be honest with you, because their quarterback play was suspect at best last year. So yeah, I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, so we're gonna kind of give some predictions and some projections on the Chiefs season. We're actually gonna use DraftKings lines. DraftKings has provided lines on individual player statistics, all kinds of different stuff. So we're gonna be running some of the DraftKings lines that they have, the over-unders that they've presented. Speaking of that, the wait is over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is officially live in Kansas just in time for football season. That means betting legally on some same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, and more anytime and anywhere across the Sunflower State. To celebrate, DraftKings is giving new Kansas customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on anything and get $200 in free bets instantly. Thursday night is almost here. Want more action for opening night kickoff? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up 7, you win. Bet on any pro football team of your choice. And if your team still leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code KCSN to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on anything. That's code KCSN only at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. 21 plus. Physically present in Kansas. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus issued as free bets. One early win token issued at opt-in. Moneyline bets only. Deposit and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/Kansas on behalf of Boot Hill Resort and Casino. Let's go ahead and get into some of these props, some of these over-unders that have been set. Let's start with Mahomes. I think that's probably the place to start. The over-under on Mahomes passing yards is 4,650.5. 4,650.5, Maddie. Over-under. What are you taking?
I think just right off the top, that sounds like a pretty easy over to me. Without so you remove the aspect of having an injury. He has hit that 4 times already in his career. You now have that extra game to give you that buffer. I think we all kind of anticipate the AFC being very competitive this year, maybe the AFC West being very competitive. They might have to play the entire season, especially to chase after the singular bye. If he plays every game, I don't know if I see a path for him not to go over. I actually think that's one of the easiest overs that we're probably going to hit here. Again, he's done it every year he's been healthy, so I don't know why this year I feel like I'd be betting on an injury to say under.
Yeah, I would as well, and I don't think that that's going to happen. I'm not going to spend too long on that. We got more of these coming up that I will. So yeah, I'm hitting the over on that one.
I'm going to ask you to start the top off, Craig. Then Mahomes passing touchdowns over under 34.5.
Oh man, I mean, listen, I think we all feel like he's going to go a little bit more scorched earth maybe than we've seen in the past. I don't know. This feels low. I mean, the man threw for 37 last year. and we talked about how that was a down year, and think of all of the passes that he hit receivers in the hands in the red zone that ended up being interceptions that should have been converted touchdowns. I mean, I get that Tyreek Hill's not here, so you lose some of the explosive ability of the offense. You really do. But just the sure-handedness of some other guys, I don't see how, once again, even if he's not taking care of the ball, even if the offense is still trying to gel, over 34.5 seems easy to me.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I feel like I like that one a lot. 34.5 touchdowns, and I think he's going to be ultra productive. I don't think the running back room looks the part of a group that's going to start taking a bunch of, runs, a bunch of, touchdowns at the red zone too. I think Mahomes is still going to be pass happy in the red zone. I don't think I'm looking at the complexion, especially some of the news we just heard about Ronald, presumably Ronald Jones. It sounds like 3 running backs will be active on game day. Special teams will be a factor. Sounds like they might be putting Rojo on ice a little bit here. So I don't know if you have a ton of guys that you're going to just turn around and hand the ball off to in the red zone. I think this could be a very pass heavy red zone too. I like the idea of Mahomes over under 34.5 touchdowns. I'll ask you, Matthew, Mahomes interceptions over under 10.5.
Ooh. Okay, so we finally have one that seems potential. Like we might have to go the wrong way, right? 10.5. I would anticipate the Chiefs are not going to be throwing the ball as far downfield this year, or at least not in contested situations. It's going to be shot plays when they come out. They're going to be looking for the right kind of deep ball. I think you have a lot more short game. I think that typically is going to lead to less interceptions. So as much as I want to say the under here, as much as I want to lean on the under, it's hard. His interceptions have gone up every year. We're flirting at 12, 13. I think this is a pretty good line. I'll say under because I think they will be throwing the ball short, but this is the one that I would not be surprised to go to the negative way, which would be the over this time.
I mean, I'm going to say the over, just barely. I'm not trying to be a hater here, but there's going to be some miscommunications early. Receivers are going to be running the wrong routes. Mahomes is going to unleash something. There's going to be some stuff that's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. And I think so. He's going to maybe rack up a few more than we expect early on in the year. And then it'll kind of taper off as the offense gets there. But I do think that is a pretty good line. I don't think that that's a bad thing either. Him trying to do some of this stuff. I think if he throws 11, hey, that's fine. You're not going to be, breaking him down. Oh, what a terrible player, especially if we're thinking that he's going to go over on yards and touchdowns and everything like that pretty significantly here, you're willing to live with 11 interceptions throughout the course of the year.
All right, let's move on to some of the pass catchers here a little bit. We got a few interesting ones here. Let's start with Juju. I think we should start with Juju because we really haven't been able to talk about Juju in recent memory. He's had some injuries, so we haven't been able to overanalyze 3 possessions of his presence. I think we got 1 possession with him and 0 targets, 0 catches. So I don't think that's going to be the case, but that's not spoiling what I'm about to ask you guys. Juju Smith-Schuster, and this is interesting to me, but over under 74.5 receptions. It feels to me like the injuries are baked into this over under here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, it definitely does. Like that seems like optimistically, I think that you're expecting Juju Smith-Schuster to be on the field 12 games. Like I think that that's the floor, and I think maybe that's what they're looking at here, the 12 games, and trying to sort out the volume and the passing offense and everything like that. Juju's going to get force fed the ball. He's going to be damn close to 100 total receptions if he is healthy for all 17. So I'm with Kent there. I think that there is a little bit of skepticism about his availability all year that's baked into this line.
Oh, that's got to be it. Because when you look, when he's healthy, he's surpassed this number for the Steelers easily. And both the years he's been healthy, even if you go back to his rookie year where he's sharing a bunch of targets, and a rookie, he still got to 58 receptions that particular year. I think this has got to be injury related, and it makes sense. He's a guy that is coming off a completely injured season. He's only played a full season twice so far in the NFL, and he's been injured so far this year. So I get it. However, when it comes to making bets, if I'm ever going to sit there and say I'm taking that bet because I think a guy's going to get hurt, I'm just passing. I would never bet on a guy being hurt. I would just not lay into it if I don't have faith for him to stay healthy. So like, as far as the line goes, I'm treating it like he's healthy. And again, easy over on this many catches for Juju Smith-Schuster and this particular offense. If you don't trust his health, that's fine. I say you then just pass it. Like I would never take the under on that, because if he plays even 13 games, I think he's pushing that number pretty easily.
Well, that's why I want to ask the question, because this is a baked in. This line clearly is baked in, or this number is clearly baked in with injuries, right? The injury risk of Juju Smith-Schuster. I know we can't predict it, but in your heart of hearts, deep down, I'm going to ask you to take the over/under considering injury to this. What are you taking, Matthew?
Taking the over. Again, I'm not going to bet on somebody being injured. I just can't do it. In good faith, that does not ring true to me to bet on somebody's health failing. Like I wouldn't do it for a non-Chiefs player. I won't do it for a Chiefs player. I don't think I would go that route. I'm going to assume that he is going to play the majority of the year. If I'm getting more than 13 games, I feel very confident in this bet. So I would take it easily.
Same, Craig?
Over for me as well. Yep.
750.5 yards receiving for him as well. I'm feeling good about Juju's outlook here. I think he hits the over on that too.
Probably. I think so. It's the same. You're coming down to the same thing. I think this is still based entirely around being healthy or not. I do think you might have to play a few more games to feel super confident and getting over the yards. Like you would probably have to play close to a full year. So if you were going to weigh the injuries and actually lay money down on this, and yeah, I would understand being a little bit more cautious about this one, because there is a path for him to have 80 catches, but barely get to this number. Like that's entirely possible. I'm still going to take the over though. I think he's hitting 1,000 if he plays the entire year. I think he's going to be the main target. They've treated him like that. They've told you that by all their moves. So I'm hitting the over here too. And just this, like I said, approaching it all from he's healthy, he's playing, he's going to get the majority of these targets.
I mean, Byron Pringle had 570 yards for this offense last year. That's Byron Pringle. And I like Byron Pringle. Byron Pringle's not Juju, though. I mean, that's the thing. Even if he's not healthy, you've got so many more targets that were force-fed to Tyreek Hill in a good way. I mean that in the best way possible, because you want to force feed that man the ball. There's so many targets there and so much of the offense funneling through it. So no, I look at that. Even if McCole Hardman sees an uptick and he gets above that 750 yards, I think that Juju is well above that as well. I think that those two have the chance, outside of Travis Kelce, those two have the chance to be your number one and your number two receiving leaders on the season in this offense. I don't think that anybody would really fight that too terribly hard. I think we have high hopes for MVS, but those are the 1 and the 2 based on what we've seen so far and the way that Andy Reid has used these guys. I fully expect that they will be the 1 and the 2 this year. And if that's the case, both of those guys are easily going over 750.
So Travis Kelce, I want to start with 90.5 receptions, 1,100 yards, 1,100.5 yards receiving. Over, are we just gonna over on all of them? Let's go. What do you think? What do you think, Matthew?
This is the one where I am starting. This might be the year I am starting to doubt Travis Kelce's volume stats just a little bit, because I do think the age factor is going to start coming up. 2 out of the last 3 years now, he's been in the 90s in terms of receptions. Like, that's a lot of catches you're asking from him. Now, will he be even more of a focal point this year? Sure. Would his targets maybe go up because of that? Sure. But you also brought in multiple receivers that are going to win in the same area of the field. We saw last year, maybe part of it was injury, but maybe part of it was being a little bit older. You can't just line him up backside anymore 3-by-1 and have him go be a big physical corner every single time. He doesn't have the same athletic ability to do it consistently, play in and play out. So there might be a little bit of a dip in his efficiency. And if you're getting a dip in his efficiency, I really don't know if I feel good about the 90 some catches that you're kind of asking for here. So I might lean under on the catches. I think the yards at 1,100 though, that's the one where I maybe would flirt a little bit with going over, and it almost makes no sense, but it's been a long time since he's been under 1,100 yards. Like, it's been a long time since he's been there. I think that they might just have to scheme him up a little bit more this year and not just rely on him. So, like, it might be more scheme targets, which are going to result in higher yards per catch. You're probably going to get him open a little bit further downfield if you're going through that effort. So I would lean over for the yardage, but under, I think, for the receptions. I just don't think you can use them the same way.
Well, I'm gonna read Travis Kelce's stat line real quick from last year. You ready for this?
Yeah.
92 catches, 1,125 yards. It's like right there. It's like right what he did last season.
It is. On 82% of the offensive snaps. That's the lowest that he has played since 2014. That is by far the most scaled back that we have seen Travis Kelce in the offense. It doesn't feel like it because he still got thrown the ball 130 something times. Like, I mean, he was still the focal point of the offense, but they clearly reined him in a little bit. And that was when they had some injuries. You know, Jody Fortson got hurt. This team wants to carry 4 guys, and they want to carry 4 guys because they want to take some of that stress off of Travis Kelce. Still want to be able to run 12 personnel. Still want to be able to stick some of these guys in certain situations and have Travis Kelce not have to get beat up across the middle. Get him open. Like Matty said, scheme him open for some stuff. So the fact that they once again turned around and said, hey, we're going to keep 4 tight ends. I know Blake Bell is on IR, but we expect him back pretty soon here. So I fully expect that we are going to see a lot more of those other guys than we have in previous seasons. And therefore, we're going to see a lot more targets for those guys and a few less targets for Travis Kelce. So I am going under on those as well.
Yeah, I think I'm convinced to go under now. I know like the offense has changed drastically, and Tyreek Hill was a target monster last year. But I'm also looking at the outlook, of Travis Kelce. He's aging. And they're going to want to keep him around as long as they possibly can and keep him as productive as they possibly can. And that might involve, I don't think his snap count's going up all of a sudden. So to your point, Craig, 82% this year, I would take the over under. I would take the under on that of 82% of offensive snaps this year. So I have one that I want to throw in here. It's not a DraftKings one, and I realize, but since we're on Travis Kelce right now, over under half of a defensive snap for Travis Kelce this year. Oh, is this like a Hail Mary situation?
Listen, I'm just telling
under. I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under because Jody Fortson's going to be back there this time around.
3 out of the last 5 years, Travis Kelce has taken a defensive snap for this team. Yep.
We think.
Listen, I get the Fortson push. I get it saying, oh, hey, look, he's just as athletic. He's younger. Go do it. But here's the thing. I trust Travis Kelce. Do I trust Jody Fortson to go make that play now? No. And if either one of them is in position to make a play, they have to make it. That's why they're there. It's like, no, I don't think that one snap throughout an entire year is going to matter at all. So, like, I think if you get down to a Hail Mary situation, he's going in. So, yeah, I'm essentially saying, yes, they're going to be in a Hail Mary situation because he's the guy.
Give me the under.
I also have another Kelce one I wanted to ask, too.
So go.
Load these up.
Why not?
Last year was Travis Kelce's lowest yards per target at 8.4 of his entire career. 8.5 yards per target this year, over or under. Is it going to be better, or is he going to match or be worse?
Under. I think I think they keep. I think teams are going to play top down still. I think it's going to be structurally similar. They're going to just have to be better at death by paper cut, and I think they're going to contain the explosives a little bit more. Give me the under.
I'm going over. I think that they've got more guys that are going to operate in that middle of the field a little bit more, and so we're just going to see a few more bigger plays out of Travis Kelce. Just a few. It's not going to be much. It's not like all of a sudden he's going to jump up to like 13 yards a target or something like that.
He's not going to go back to 9.8 like the year before?
No. It's just barely going to tick up. But I do think that you're going to see a little more with the Chiefs clogging the kind of that shallow intermediate area of the field. I think you're going to see some teams that are going to try and challenge it, and you're going to see him get free a little more.
I agree with Craig, and I'll one up him. I think it's going back over 9 yards per target because I get the death by paper cut. I think it's going to other guys. I don't think you're going to rely on Travis Kelce to be your. I just said, like, I think where he struggled a lot last year was getting off press coverage. I don't think you're going to isolate him and have him go be that guy now. You're now going to stack him in the slot. You're now going to hide him a little bit more off, give him a few more free releases, let him work the intermediate, get those reads going, rather than trying to route somebody up off the get-go. And I think that's where you really saw him have to reduce his yards per catch. So, like, I think you could see similar concept. He's not as dominant athletically as he once was. I still am going under on the receptions, but I wonder if his yards per target and catch just don't go back up again this year based on where he's getting those targets, on the field.
And this might be a little bit overstated when I say it, but, like, you want to talk about load management a little bit, not having to get a few more free releases may not be a bad thing for him either as he ages as well. Like, just thinking out loud here, it's not a terrible thought. I don't think that's like the root of it, but like if you're looking at a potential benefit, there could be a little bit of that too. So, okay, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Let's look at that. Over under 700.5 rushing yards. What do you got, Matthew?
Yikes. Yikes. Okay. So I just said I don't want to bet on a guy not being healthy, but here we have a guy that has never been healthy for a full NFL season. Now, and again, I don't want to sit here and say I would bet on a guy falling short because he gets injured, but 700, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a rookie, came up with 800 rushing yards, almost right on the nose, right?
Yep, correct.
And he missed some games, but like as of right now, that's kind of roughly what his ceiling is. I think he was more productive as a rookie than he was last year. Maybe it was about the same. I'm going to take the under. I think he's going to share more carries this year. I don't think he's going to get some third down carries. He might not be the guy that runs out games if they have a lead late in the fourth quarter. We know he's not getting the short yardage work right now, whether that's third and short, fourth and short, or whatever. I think I'm gonna have to go under for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and like this goes against what I said earlier, but like, and I haven't seen him play a full season once. I don't know what him playing a full season looks like. There's nothing to base it on. So 700, while close, I think I have to lean under until we get some more information out of this.
Okay, so you mentioned that Clyde Edwards-Helaire had about 800 yards rushing during his rookie year. Can you tell me how many other times a running back has had over that amount since Patrick Mahomes has been the starter? 2018 and on.
Is it never happened?
No, Kareem Hunt barely squeaked over it.
I was say, I wonder if that's what I was going to say. I was wondering if it was going to be a no because Kareem and Damian Williams would have split the yardage the first year. But then I was like, Kareem might have still got there because he was good.
He just barely got there. Andy gives volume to his running backs. I'm not trying to say he doesn't give volume, but he doesn't churn out the kind of rushing attack with Patrick Mahomes at the helm to rack that up. Now, maybe you would have with Kareem Hunt still on this team, but we've now got a couple of years of examples here. And I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire played 10 games last year, and he was outgained by Darrell Williams. He was. And then Jet McKinnon by the end of the year was the new hotness, and boy, he was the guy who should have been getting the carry. So I fully expect that they're not going to give extreme volume. I don't think that he's going to get there. I like Clyde. I hope that combined with his receiving yards that he is still well over 1,000, but I don't know that he's going to get 700 on the ground.
I'm taking the over. And here's why. I don't think that there's as much in the way of him getting opportunities this year as there has in the past. There's not a clear-cut guy that I think is going to be stealing volume from him. I don't think if we're talking about injury concerns and you're not talking about 30-plus-year-old Jerick McKinnon, I don't think that they're planning on utilizing him in a big way. Isaiah Pacheco, yes, I think that there is a role for him. I don't think he's a guy that's going to step in and take the opportunities in the volume that a Darrell Williams has. I just don't think that's going to be a year one kind of thing. So I think there's opportunities there for him. I look at last year, 2021, 11.9 attempts per game. The year prior, 13.9 attempts per game. I think you're going to see more towards the 13.9 attempts per game. And if he does that, and he's had similar rushing production both years, 4.3 yards per carry last year, 4.4 yards per carry the year before. He went 800 yards in 13 games with that kind of workload.
Mm-hmm.
I think 700 is very attainable. If we're betting on Clyde Edwards-Helaire's health for even 13 games this season, I think he's going to hit the over because I think he'll still get enough volume in that offense as the primary ball carrier, where I don't think Pacheco's going to eat into it enough. And I don't think that they're planning on trying to run Isaiah or Jet McKinnon between the tackles a ton either, because I think they've got to manage his workload so the wheels don't fall off of him. He's the guy I think you're worrying about from a health perspective.
I want to say this. During that year that he did it, he had nearly 300 of those yards. It was 299 of those yards occurred in 2 games. Against the Houston Texans in week 1 and against the Buffalo Bills. The rest of it was fairly inconsistent. So
it's who he was sharing carries with too. It wasn't like the ghost of Le'Veon Bell and Darrell Williams, who hadn't really come on until after Clyde got hurt. He didn't start to actually get a share. I get the concept that maybe Pacheco isn't ready right now, that you don't want to rely on Jerick McKinnon for a heavy workload, and maybe Ronald Jones isn't even active. I still just named a lot better options than the ghost of Le'Veon Bell and Darrell Williams to share those carries. So I would be surprised if he's close to 14 carries per game actually this year. I think that would be a bigger shock. And he needs 160 carries on his career average. He needs about 160 carries this year to break that. He done it once, didn't do it the next year. It's just that's a lot of carries, I think, for this running back room and the way this offense is kind of trending that we've seen. So
I feel, that's 10. If he plays a full season and averages 10 a game, that's what you're looking at.
No, if he does play a full season, he gets there. Yeah. If he doesn't get overtaken.
I feel okay. I don't think he will. I feel okay about him. I'm taking the over, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushing touchdowns 5.5. I'm going to take the under. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I just think they're going to get wild at the goal line. Maybe that's where they try to, run some some bigger body guys in there. But I just don't think that they're going to be he hasn't hit that yet in his career. It's been 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, but he's not playing. If you think he's going to be healthy, he hit 4 both years. So if you think he's going to play a couple extra games, it's not like he doesn't get those opportunities. They certainly gave it.
Boy, he sure gets a lot of them because
they certainly gave it to him. So punch it in, run some power plays, get in there. Let's go. I'm going over on that one.
I I mean, this is total touchdowns, right? So like this does include
No,
receiving.
this is rushing. This is rushing.
This was
touchdowns
just
only.
rushing touchdowns. Okay, I was gonna say if we're including receiving,
no,
he did get
hammer
there.
the over if it's the. If
I'm not hammering. I'm not hammering any overs with Clyde right now. I am fully cautious right now. I have 1 foot out the door. I guess it depends on like who's going to be active. I guess like I don't know if the Chiefs should trust Isaiah Pacheco and the goal line situations yet. I don't know if he's hitting the right hole. And when you're dealing with goal line condensed boxes, more guys there, you do have to hit the right gap more frequently than you do at the 50 when you're dealing with some lighter boxes. So while his running style fits really well there, I don't know if you trust him to hit those holes. However, there is still the option for Ronald Jones to be available. And I'll tell you what, right now, I feel much more comfortable with Ronald Jones trying to punch it in from the 3-yard line than I do Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I feel more comfortable with Mike Burton punching it in from the 3, but definitely
Do
Ronald
we have
Jones.
Mike Burton lines?
Definitely
I got some
Ronald
money
Jones.
burning a hole in my pocket.
It's like, I don't know. I think there's a path. I think Andy left it open that it wasn't, oh no, Ronald Jones won't be active. It was definitely 3 will be active. You don't know who the 4th is going to be right now. I think there is a small gap for Ronald Jones as the year goes on to earn some more snaps. I don't know if that comes to the detriment of Clyde, but if he is out there, I trust him in the red zone more than I trust Clyde right now.
We do need to make sure that we say here that Andy specifically said special teams will play a factor. Kick returner 1 right now is Isaiah Pacheco. And that is fairly so.
And McKinnon plays special teams.
Jet McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Ronald Jones right now would be kind of the 3 guys in the mix there. I mean, man, they've been using Jet on 3rd downs. Do we really think that Clyde is going to be a healthy scratch in a game? I mean, yikes. That's a little scary to think of.
Maddie, so here's the thing. We've been doing this like forever since we started podcasting together. This is something we've done every year. And most of the time it's Maddie making the lines. Now we have DraftKings to help us, which is wonderful. So we're going to get into some of Maddie's lines for here in a minute, but we need to talk about some specials, some fun specials that that DraftKings has presented.
Specials.
All right, I'm going to give you. I'm going to say a yes. Take a yes or a no kind of line here. So Travis, would you take this or would you not? Travis Kelce over 10.5 regular season receiving touchdowns and Patrick Mahomes over 3.5 regular season rushing touchdowns.
Ooh.
Plus 300 if you take it. Are you taking that one?
Not taking that one. Too many tight ends to get some of the gimmicky touchdowns that will eat into Kelce hitting 11. I would take the Patrick Mahomes rushing. I don't know if he's done it before, but that just seems like something I would take. But I think that's a lot of touchdowns for a guy that's going to be sharing red zone snaps with Fortson and some gimmicky stuff with Noah Gray and Blake Bell.
I'm going to go under as well. I think we're going to see maybe a little more concerted effort to not have Patrick use his legs as much this season as well. So he had 2 of these last year. I'm saying no. If it was a little higher, plus 300, that needs to be a little higher for me to be in on that one.
He's had 2 every year, actually. So like even that sounds like you're doubling it to just nail that part of it.
Did we do Patrick Mahomes QB sneaks last year? 0.5.
I think we did like a half or something like that, and we would have been wrong. I think we
take it under. Okay. All right, Pat. Here's another one from DraftKings. Patrick Mahomes to throw for at least 500 yards in any regular season game, plus 800 if you take it. Are you taking it?
Yes. Why not? Have at it. Let's go. That's the plus 800's a lot. Is it likely to happen? No, probably not. You got to have the right kind of offense to go up against. You got to have the right kind of defense to go up against. The game script has to be perfect. But, I mean, the Chiefs are the prime team to get in that kind of game with. So, yeah, there's enough upside there to just sprinkle something on there and see what happens.
Yeah, it's against the Rams that it's happening too. So that's exactly when that is going down. I'm taking that one.
Did you know Patrick Mahomes has never done that? His high is 478 yards, and it was in the epic 54-51 Rams game.
And I think he hit the 460s or over 450 against Tampa too a couple years ago in the regular season. But yeah, he hasn't hit
couple
500.
440s. Yeah,
I could see it happening this year just because the game scripts are going to be a lot different than they've been recently. Because I think the defense might be a little bit more questionable and inconsistent, where there are definitely going to be.
That's scary.
Craig, come on,
scary.
you already know. To where I think there could be some inconsistencies at times with the defense that could turn some games into an absolute a gun show. So I don't know. I don't hate that one at 8-1 because I do think the game script could set it up. 400 plus 400 for any Chiefs player to have over 999.5 regular season rushing yards. We kind of got into that a little bit.
Hard no.
Super hard no.
I like Mahomes. I like Mahomes plus 800 to throw 500 better than I like that one. So I don't know the last time that's happened in Kansas City. So
I do.
Kareem
2017 Kareem Hunt.
That's an easy
5
one.
years ago. 5 years ago.
Anything regarding a running back, the last time it happened in Kansas City was Kareem Hunt.
And then before that was like 5 years before that when it was Jamal's awesome seasons that he had.
Or
like
every running back ever before that. But yeah.
All right.
There's a string of running backs there for Casey.
Line maker Matty Lane, it is your turn to shine on some of your defensive over-unders.
Okay. These are a lot less scientific than DraftKings, but if I didn't say that, you guys wouldn't know. So this is
Make sure you say it.
The Chiefs sack leader, over 9.5 sacks.
Under. Give me the under. I think there's hold on. I don't think Chris Jones is getting there, but I think it's possible George Karlaftis does. I'm still taking the under, but I actually think that's a decent line. I think Chris Jones is close. I think George Karlaftis has the ceiling to do it. I'm still taking the under.
I'm taking the over, and it's Chris. There's just going to be enough focus. I just don't think that. I think that the secondary is going to be more cohesive towards the end of the year. I think that they're going to be a lot harder to throw the ball on a little bit more. There's just more athleticism. Windows will close quicker. You're going to have some quarterbacks, especially the back half of the season, where there's not the best quarterbacks in the world back there. I can see Chris Jones going on a tear to finish the season and stringing together multiple double-digit sack games. I'm predicting that he is going to be Steve Spagnuolo's first double-digit sack player in Kansas City.
So I was going to say, do you know how many times it's happened since Patrick Mahomes has been here? Once.
One. His contract. He's done it one time in his career.
Yeah. But then one time it's happened for the Chiefs that their sack leader has been over that, and that was that year, and it was two guys. It was Dee Ford and Chris Jones. Contract year, Chris Jones, by far his best season. You had the most efficient pass rusher that they have had next to him during Mahomes' tenure. I mean, do I think Frank Clark's better than Dee Ford? Yes, but Dee Ford that particular year was a better pass rusher than what we've seen Frank Clark be. And so, I mean, that's hard. He's now, Chris Jones, 2 out of the last 3 years, has hit 9. He's been right on the cusp. He has been exactly right there. So, there's a chance. That's why we went 9.5. So Craig thinks is going to be the best pass rush Steve Spagnuolo's ever had in Kansas City. And Kent says, no way, Jose.
No, you can put that down that I said exactly that. I believe that.
All right. So next up, we're sticking with the defense because that's where all my lines come from. We're going with Nick Bolton over 90.5 solo tackles. Now, this is people don't probably have a good barometer for what solo tackles are.
Ooh. Solo tackles, huh?
Last year, Nick Bolton had 70. As a part-time player, he filled in some for the mic, but he was still a part-time player. He finished with 70. This year, we're adding 20 to it because he should be a full-time player. Over 90.5 solo tackles for Nick Bolton.
Hammering the over. Hammering it. I think he's going to be a high-volume tackler. And I think he's going to be the guy. When there's a pile and he's an Arrowhead, Nick Bolton's going to be the one getting the tackle stat. So like this is a little inside football, sometimes the statistician, when there's a pile, will tend to lean somebody like a Derek Johnson, or in this case for this team specifically is going to be Nick Bolton in the pile.
No, it was all of those were legitimate for DJ.
Sorry. My bad.
I will defend
Forgot.
every one of the. You show me a tackle that you don't think that was right to be credited to him, and I will argue it to the death.
Hammering the over on Nick Bolton getting that.
I'm going to say under. I do think that we're going to see him get damn close. I'm expecting upper 80s here. I think we're going to see a lot of teams try and bounce stuff to the outside, try and force these Chiefs DBs to tackle a little bit more. So I think we're going to see a lot of Justin Reed, Juan Thornhill, Brian Cook in the dime. I think we're going to see a lot of Willie Gay chasing stuff out into the flat, L'Jarius Sneed coming from the slot. I think we're going to see a lot of those guys contributing to the tackle numbers. We saw a lot of it in the preseason. Teams trying to test the Chiefs on the edges, and it didn't go very well. And when they tried to test the Chiefs in the middle, it also didn't go very well. So I think that you're going to see teams try to create some space to the outside, try and force DBs to tackle in space, because that's going to be the better opportunity than trying to beat Nick Bolton between the A gap there, because I think that he's going to win in that scenario. So I'm going to go under, and it's entirely because teams are trying to avoid the middle of the field against the Chiefs.
So does it, move the needle for you guys at all to know that last year only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players went over 90 tackles? You think Nick Bolton is going to finish in the top 7 of tackles this year, Ken?
Yes.
Interesting.
I do.
I would lean Craig's way for 1, testing the Chiefs on the outside, but 2, I think this defense is faster and more aggressive. I think it's hard for a middle linebacker of Nick Bolton's stature, who's very fast in a couple steps, but I don't know if he shows as much range as other guys to collect tackles on this kind of defense. He did great last year, and I guess it's not that different than last year, but I think the safeties want to hit more this year. Willie Gay should be a little bit better. If the defensive line's better, I think it eats into it a little bit more. So I would be kind of surprised, because, he's going to be competing for the league lead in tackles then, if that's the case, which is possible. I just think there's too much athleticism going around to give that one in.
I think he's going to be top 10 in solo tackles. I still think he's
so
going to be top 10 in solo
You're
tackles,
right there,
but he's
right
going
there.
to be just below that 90.5 mark.
So if it was like 80, 85 and a half,
I'm having a lot harder trouble with that. Yeah, I might take the over in that one. Yeah.
All right, so then here's where this is only where my holdup comes in. I'm looking through this right now and looking at the people that just finished above 80, like, Fred Warner, then a bunch of defensive backs and safeties are here. Cole Holcomb, Devin White, Deion Jones, Bobby Okereke, and then you get to the guys on top. That's a lot of athletic freaks. It's a lot of super athletes that are collecting these tackles. And then you have the best guys up at the top that are doing it with their diagnostic skills. And your Denzel Perrymans, Roquan Smith, Bobby Wagner. I don't know if Nick Bolton fits into either category yet. So that's where my holdup of him collecting that many tackles comes in. He's not going to get all the chase down tackles. And is he seeing the game at Bobby Wagner's level to fill in that many gaps right now? I don't know. It's pretty high. We got to move on to another one though. Justin Reed, 3.5 interceptions.
I really want to take the over, but I think I'm going to take the under. He's never done it. And I know he's going to be in a better defense with probably the best pass rush he's had in his young career. But he hasn't hit 3 since, he's barely hit the over in the last 4 years combined. So he's had 4 interceptions in 2019, 2020, and 2021. I don't know if the reason I like Justin Reed is ball production. I'm taking the under.
Okay. I will say this. The way that they have used Tyrann Mathieu, he had 4 interceptions in year 1, 6 in year 2, and 3 in year 3. And we have seen so far, Justin Reed seems to be that guy when they're running that 2 robber. He's the one that's in that high hole. He's the one that's stepping down into it. He's been that guy to try and evaluate that stuff. I'm not trying to say he's got the same, as Spagnuolo calls them, the gigabytes that, that Tyrann Mathieu has. But the way that they put guys in the middle of the field to try and take advantage of those advantageous situations, Justin Reed seems to be the guy that is getting those opportunities. So I am going to say over. I think that they're going to bait some guys into some bad throws, and I think that Justin Reed has the athleticism to jump stuff, maybe more so than Tyrann Mathieu, to try and make up for maybe some of the things, not seeing the routes, not seeing the way that things go, and maybe not having the same ball skills at the catch point, but the athleticism to get there. I'm taking the over on this one.
Ooh, okay. I think I might lean to the over. When Justin Reed had his most ball production, it was when playing a little bit of a more of a fluid safety position for the Houston Texans early in his career. He was playing a little bit more free safety. He was, moving around a lot more frequently. They had a better pass rush then. As that defense changed, he had to be a little bit more stagnant. You got Lovie Smith's kind of defense action going on there, like that style of defense. The ball production disappeared a little bit. I could see a path for him getting 4, and I do think the Chiefs do a really good job of putting guys they want to in a position to hunt the football. So I can get that. I have 2 more lines for you guys, and this one you guys haven't got to see yet. This one's not in the chat that I'm bringing to you now, so you got to do it on the fly. L'Jarius Sneed over 1.5 sacks.
Over.
Definitely over. I know what you're gonna say, Maddie, but I think they're gonna give more opportunity for them to blitz out of the slot. And I think L'Jarius Sneed is going to get a lot more open looks to do so this year.
Agreed.
He had 1 last year and playing a full year, only 1 where he played in the slot the majority of the time. He had 2 as a rookie where he was bouncing around a little bit more, but he only had 1 last year. I think if Chris Jones is pushing 10 sacks, if Karlaftis is pushing for defensive rookie of the year and you get a healthy Frank, I think there's no chance because they don't need to blitz that much. I think there's no chance if you get all those things from the defensive line. Now, if the pass rush looks like it did this past year and they have to blitz nonstop to get any pressure because that's how bad the pass rush is, then yeah, maybe there's a chance. But I don't think Steve Spagnuolo wants to blitz enough to me to feel good about taking Sneed on the over here.
Are you insinuating that Steve Spagnuolo is not going to blitz as much? Buddy.
If his defensive line is good. You and I both watch the Giants. If the defensive line is good, he is not going to sit there and throw L'Jarius Sneed on nonstop blitzes.
I'm not saying that this defensive line is going to be the
no.
Giants.
You said it was going to be. You said it was going to be the best Steve Spagnuolo's ever had
in Kansas City. Yes,
prove that part.
Yeah, well, I Steve Spagnuolo
cut the clip short, Tuck, and just use the first half.
Nope. Spags is going to blitz. He's going to blitz plenty. I think he's going to see plenty open looks.
Okay, the last one here. Carlos Dunlap, over under 5.5 sacks. For reference, Kent, this would be the first time in his career this has happened. First time
since
his second year, right? Did he have 5 his second year or something like that?
He had 4.5 in 2011. He is not done. He has been walking 5.5 sacks at least every year since Obama's first term. I was really hoping to try to find a better pop cultural reference from 2011, but it's like since before Lady Gaga or something. I don't know.
Since The Office ended.
I like that one. Well, I'm gonna Google what happened in 2011. I'm gonna finish the show with something.
But I need you to answer the question.
I'm taking the under. I think this is the year things kind of simmer down a little bit for him. And I don't know. I think it's a good line to set. I think he'll have some sack production this year. I just don't know if I can trust that he's gonna have the volume and you're worried about the Achilles a little bit. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. And again, we didn't see him really rotating in with the dime. It was Dana with the dime. Like that was and Karlaftis a little bit as well. So we didn't really see Dunlap rotating with the ones as much. Now he will. I'm not saying that he's not going to, but those are going to be the opportunities for him. That's where we're really going to see him get to pin his ears back, be as effective as we've seen him in some previous years, where it's a true passing situation. If some of those aren't on the table for him, I think it's going to be trouble. I think it's going to be a little bit more trouble for him to get to that number, especially if Steve Spagnuolo's looking at Turk Wharton over there and going, hey, listen, I want Chris and Turk on the middle. Then you've got to choose somebody opposite of Frank. And right now, it seems like they're choosing George Karlaftis.
Yeah, and I would say not Karlaftis, but Dunlap has gotten to these numbers, for a long time now. And even back in 2011, he didn't play a full year. He wasn't a starter, and he still got pretty darn close, right? Like, this is what he does. However, he plays a lot of snaps. And even these past couple of years when he's hit these numbers, he's had games with multiple sacks. He's had games where there are volume sack numbers. He's had stretches where he's been pretty much shut out. And then he'll have a stretch of games where he has 2 and 3 and 4, 2, 3, 4 sacks all back to back to back. And so when you're not getting that volume, when you're not getting that many snaps in multiple weeks, and you're not getting that many snaps in a single game, it's going to be hard to pull down a 3-sack game. It's going to be hard to pull down a 2-sack game. So those same games might only be 1 sack. That lowers your total. I think this should be the year you would lean towards that under. He sets, he comes close to competing with his career low, unfortunately, but his efficiency might go up from what it's been the last couple of years. Efficiency as a pass rusher might actually go up because he's not getting to come away with like 6 of his 9 sacks last year in a 4-week stretch or something, because he's just not seeing that many snaps. Now, wild card. Frank Clark still isn't practicing or something like that. Isn't he like still sick or something? Like, what is happening with Frank Clark's guts here? If Frank can't play at his normal clip, I do think that opens the window a lot for Dunlap, though.
Sure. Yeah, it does.
You guys ready for this?
I'm so glad you looked this up. This is going to fit in right now. Tucker, can you just cut this and move it back to when he should have had it ready?
The last... All right, Call Me Maybe hadn't released the last time Carlos Dunlap didn't have 5.5 sacks. The Avengers hadn't released the last time that Carlos Dunlap didn't have 5.5 sacks. I mean, yeah, and according to this article, Channing Tatum was everywhere. Real quick before we get out of here, Chiefs are...
Charlie Sheen was still a good guy in the last time the Carlos Dunlap
winning. Charlie Sheen was still winning. I was really trying to look. I don't think that One Direction was a band yet. The last time
Oprah
Carlos
was still
Dunlap
going strong. I think Oprah was still going strong.
Oprah, you found the same article I did. Gangnam Style hadn't taken the world by storm either.
Tucker wasn't born the last time that Carlos Dunlap didn't have 5.5 sacks.
The Chiefs are 10-1 to win the Super Bowl per DraftKings. Matthew, are you taking that one?
Sure. Why not? We picked this last week. I said I think that they were going to win. So that's why. I mean,
10-1.
10-1. Go for it. Shoot your shot, right? Shoot your shot.
Absolutely. Those are great odds, especially for a team like the Chiefs that the hesitation for them is, can they put it all together with so many new pieces? So if they do put it all together, if Spagnuolo does what he did in 2019 and Andy does what he always does with new pieces, well then, yeah, I mean, you can see this team making a very deep run. So at those odds, why the hell not?
The Hunger Games weren't a thing the last time Carlos Dunlap.
They were a book.
That's going to do it for the KC Laboratory. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be previewing Chiefs Cardinals live on Thursday. Come hang out, come party, come celebrate with us. It'll probably be about halftime of the Bills-Rams game. We'll be throwing a party of our own, getting you ready for the first game of the season. We'll catch you later.